Welcome everyone to another Ronald Diltz II podcast. Today we're very blessed to have the most amazing actress in my base, I will say, Sheryl Carbonell. How you doing today?
I am doing great. That was one puffed up entrance.
Hey, it's something. It's a little something,
Listen, I'll take it. I will
You'll
take it.
take it. I
will take
appreciate it. I appreciate it. I try my best. How are you doing this wonderful day?
I am doing great. How are you doing this wonderful day?
I'm doing great. And I'm blessed because I get to interview my wonderful sister today. So this is always exciting. You know what I'm saying? So thank you so much for taking time to speak to my listeners, who are looking forward to hearing all the wonderful things that you would talk about and learn from you today, the stuff you teach us. So we're excited about this. So let's jump right in.
Cool.
Tell us about where you grew up. Where did you grow up and how did that have an impact on who you are today?
Well, I grew up in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. I don't know who's going to be listening to this. Are your students a part of this or?
Everyone is a part of this.
Everyone is a part of this. Okay. Well, Windsor, for those of you who don't know, Windsor is the most southern part of Canada. It's in Ontario and it's right across from Detroit. And it's actually south of Detroit, fun fact, because the landmass does this. So Detroit's up here and we are under Detroit like that. So I grew up in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. And my parents are Jamaican. So there's that. Jamaican parents are different. They're strict and fun. So in Windsor, the time that I grew up, what was special about that time was that there were different ethnic groups, different races of people, and they didn't all clump together back in those days. Everyone kind of just spread out, and there's some pros and cons to that. But the pros were that it forced me to get along with all kinds of people that I wouldn't normally, be exposed to in other areas of countries or other countries.
Right.
And so a lot of first generation Europeans. I had friends straight over from Russia. I had so many Indian friends. I had Croatian friends, Serbian friends. I mean, you name it. I mean, and first generation too. So they were in the same boat as me, a lot of them. They would go home and there would be a whole other culture going on, a completely different way of speaking, completely different set of rules. And that was really cool. And then I had friends who were just born and raised in Canada. And not to let my voice go down on that, but what I'm saying is, there's a majority culture of Canadians, but there were also Canadians who were like me, first generation from another culture, which I always value because, like I said, my parents were from Jamaica, and I grew up getting together with all these other Jamaican families, but we didn't all live in the same neighborhood. In fact, we all lived in different neighborhoods.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But we had in Windsor, my town, they've got these clubs, and these clubs are where people from different cultures can come and celebrate their culture. So there's a Filipino club, there's a Jamaican club, there's a Trinidadian club, there's a German club, and most of those clubs are intact today. Excuse me, I just had really bad allergies, so I'm kind of stuffy from that. But what I loved about that is I got to celebrate my culture with kids like me who are first generation and going through the same things that I was going through, not allowed to do this and not allowed to do that. And, cooking curry and oxtail at home when my other friends were like, what is that? And dancing to the music and catching all the latest trends that were coming out from Jamaica, but living in Canada and in the snow and whatnot. And then I'm kind of all over the place, but what I really loved is that each summer, these clubs would do something called carousel, and they would celebrate their culture and invite everybody else to come and partake in the culture. And mind you, anybody could come to any of these clubs throughout the year, but mostly what would happen is the Jamaicans would have a chance to hang out with their Jamaican pals and play dominoes and all that stuff. And the Chinese club would do their thing. But 2 weeks out of the year is this big festival, and everybody puts on their traditional dress and makes all their foods and puts out all their traditional music and the current music. And the drinks are flowing, the dances are happening. Some of the cultures are more lively than others. So like the Italian club was popping, the Greek club was popping, and of course, the Jamaican club was popping.
Of course, right?
Yeah. So my parents and their friends founded this club, which is, they're the founders. Yes. So it's very special to me. And it gives me deep roots. And sometimes it was challenging because growing up in a place where the majority culture was something else, even though we had these little bits of, first generation Germans and Italians, but for the most part at my school, it were Canadian kids, and most of them were not the same race as me. I think I was one of 5 Black kids in my school at the time.
Okay.
So some bullying and some taunting and some of that, came into play. And this is not a feel sorry for me thing. In fact, I'm kind of glad that it happened. I mean, it wasn't pleasant. I don't wish it upon anybody, but I think it gave me something to grab onto. It gave me some, I don't want to say that word. Let's say it gave me some muscles. Let's say that. And my response to that has always been, I don't want to treat anybody the way that I was treated. And sometimes that, to some people, that appears as a weakness. And even sometimes to myself, I feel like, oh, why didn't I just cut that person down when they were, rude to me? But I realize it's not necessary. It's not necessary. You don't want to become what other people, you don't want to become the monsters that lurk in other people. So that was a real roundabout answer, but yeah, that's where I'm from.
Great question to start with.
And that, there's a lot. I could write a book about that. I moved to the United States when I was 14, and that was a huge culture shock.
Yeah, I'm sure.
The countries are very similar, but within those similarities, there are vast differences. And the time that I moved there, it was different. It was challenging. People didn't like me, and I had to learn to deal with that, figure that out.
Wow. Now, you've said it right there. You should write a book. Have you been thinking about this? Because guess what? It's another Jamaican princess, soon to be Jamaican queen like yourself, that needs to hear that story. They need to hear what you went through. And hey, you being who you are, that would make a great film, wouldn't it? You know what I'm saying? So something to think about. Have you thought about that, writing a book about your experience?
Yeah, writing to me is daunting. And it's something I do need encouragement to get on that. I started writing a couple little scripts, and I think I know I need some direction with that to keep all of my ideas from going all over the place and trying to write everything in one story. That's just not going to happen. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I feel like I need to think of my stories as a river, and each film or story, whatever I write, as a tributary. Like, what's this tributary about? Because there's enough to pack in, in each tributary. There's enough to pack in. And I will say my story applies to anyone beyond just a Jamaican woman. I think very little of it has to do with being Jamaican. I think it has to do with things even a broader scope and scale. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I love that. That's something definitely you should consider. And I'm here to motivate you. You already know.
Yes,
You
yes.
already know.
We need to interview you, Ronald, because you've got
Why?
stories and you've
What?
got stories
What?
and
Why you
things
see?
to add to all of us. And yeah, definitely. I will look to you for encouragement for that, but please don't let me take from you. I'd love to, give to you in whatever ways that you would need too. So
Yes, I'm here. You know, I'm all about helping the cause. So it's already done. So I got you. I got you. So what did you want to be when you were a child? Did you have any like, this is my dream to be an actress, for instance? What did you want to be when you were a child?
well, I don't know. At first I no, I do know. I wanted to be an architect. I used to draw
Wow, wow.
houses, house plans,
Okay.
and I had this big book and I would draw them and I would show my dad and he was all impressed. But my dad was an electrician and he worked at Chrysler, Canada. Most people in my town, because we're right near the big three, being Ford, Chrysler, and what's the other one? The other one's not even there anymore. Oh, pardon me. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
three automotive industries, and most people worked for those, regardless of what their degrees were. Well, my dad happened to be an electrician. Anyway, he did his duty. He loved it, but didn't always love it. Shift work. As innovation came, the job became more mundane because the robots were doing most of the work and you're now just maintaining that as opposed to getting into the intricacies of fixing this and the stuff that he actually loved. So to combat that, my dad sang in a Jamaican group. He formed his own band and the guys would come over in our basement and they would play. And then at the Caribbean club that I mentioned before, the Jamaican club, they would perform for them. So I've always been around that. So I'm doing my architectural drawings, but I'm watching my dad sing and just not just sing, but I could see that he was calling back his roots because he's far away from that, far away from Jamaica, far away from all of that, and building a life elsewhere in the cold where he didn't really want to be, but he made the best of it. Surrounded himself with wonderful people. His other Caribbean friends made friends with people who weren't Caribbean. They would talk politics, which, by the way, I loved watching him talk politics because he could talk to people with an opposing view and they could be the best of buddies. They didn't have this thing where I disagree with you, so you can't be my friend or you must think this. And that was also a wonderful thing to witness. But back to your question.
Wow.
I'm drawing all of these, house plans, but I'm soaking up all this music stuff. And by the time I was in grade 1 or 2, like 6 or 7 years old, the church that I attended noticed that I could sing and they asked me to sing solos. They started asking me to sing solos in church. And I was like, okay, cool. Loved that. Then my school, I had this wonderful music teacher who picked up on it. And he started guiding me from a very young age and started having me and this other girl sing a lot of solos. And she and I just were able to harmonize on our own. Like we'd pick up songs from the radio and be like, okay, you sing this part and I'll sing this. And we could do, as young girls, like little 8 and 9-year-old girls, we were singing.
Wow.
And, yeah. And then I had this kindergarten teacher who was just so nurturing. Like we had it for kindergarten, obviously. And back then it was like half day. So I only had it for a half a day. And I went through a K-8 school. So I leave her classroom, but all these years she's watching over us, looking at our gifts and stuff. And come to the time, fast forward to like grade 7. It was grade 7. The music teacher and this kindergarten teacher found out that our city's music, what was it called? Music opera musical theater company was doing Annie. And they needed all these little girls to be orphans. So she and my music teacher orchestrated that myself and this other girl would audition. And there was another girl that came along too. And we actually helped her sing a little bit and she got pretty good. She was more of an athlete. But she got pretty good. But anyway, the girl that I harmonized with all the time, she and I were selected and chosen to be Annie. I mean, not Annie, to be orphans. I when I did my audition, they loved my audition so much. And mind you, I'm auditioning in front of like all the girls that are auditioning and their mothers. And then this like, just picture like at the front of the stage, like these people, these mean people, like sitting like
Pressure.
this, you know? Yeah, just like what you see in the movies, it's exactly that. And this like big auditorium thing. So I get up and sing my Maybe Far Away, that song. And afterwards, they were clapping and they're like, oh my gosh, too bad she couldn't be our Annie. And it's because of the color of my skin. And back then, it wasn't like it is now, where people are like, wait a minute, she can be, you know, it's just, it's fiction. And it's not like we're retelling something like historically accurate. So we could, but back then it was like, no, we
Yeah.
can't.
Wow.
And so it did hit me, but I think deep down, I knew it, I accepted that or whatever. And so I think, Ronald, to answer that question, because I know I went all over the place.
Oh, that's a
I
great one.
went to Europe and back with that, but it was then that I was like, I want to do this. I want to
Wow.
do this. I don't know what this is. Like if it's just acting, if it's just singing, if it's a combination of both. But anyway, so I was cast as the July, one of the orphans, had a bomb of a time, had such a great time. I was even allowed to sleep over, wanted to go to a sleepover party, which was like taboo in my house. You don't sleep over people's places.
Right.
But this girl was from Belize. She was another orphan, and her parents just like knew that my parents were strict, and they talked to my parents like, just she can come over, we'll take good care of her. And we had like this orphan sleepover, and I had a blast.
Wow.
The next year they did it again. I think it's like one of the only times that in their canon of all of the stuff that this company did, and they're still alive today. This company's still doing work. I think it was the only time that they reprised a show the following year because it was like in demand. And I think all the shows were sold out. And so I did it again. I was bigger. I was going through puberty and all that, but I had a blast. And that was the seed. That was when I was like, I want to do this. And then I moved to the States and I went through the culture shock that we talked about. And I kind of abandoned everything. I had been taking piano lessons all those years. I never had formal vocal training up until that time. I was just trying to find myself again in a sea
Gotcha.
of a completely different culture, trying to figure out how do I navigate in this world that felt like a lot of people didn't like me, but in hindsight, some really good people did like me. I made some really good friends to this day. So when I went to college at UCF, I honestly didn't know what I was going to do. And I thought, let me just bring back music because I know I love that. And my skills had atrophied like really badly. My parents were so strict that my first 2 years at college were for me for partying. And then by the junior year, by third year, I got my act together, started going back to church. I was like, this, I can't be at a club dancing every night of the week. My grades matter, like things that, people are paying for this. And I really got my act together and things changed from there. Did I
Wow.
do that part?
Yes.
Yes. I feel like I've been talking for so much.
No, you're good. These stories matter. This is why we do these interviews, to hear these stories. So, but no, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And wow, I did read up on the Annie situation. I think you also have it in your bio, I believe, too. And so that was devastating to hear that, wherever I saw that. But yeah, that's crazy. But that's how the time was back then. And I'm just like, wow, if things would have just been changed, right? That would have been what an experience. But you have a story to tell through that. So yeah, that's amazing. Amazing, amazing. Tell us about your morning routine. I'm big on morning routines now. I'm still trying to get mine in order. I tell all my guests, I don't got it yet. I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress. How is your morning routine usually?
Oh my gosh, Ronald, I am right there with you with this. I need my morning routine needs a haul over because no, this is the thing. It starts the night before. I intend to get to bed before 11. If I can get to bed before 11, man, that would just make my life so much better. But I don't. And a lot of times it's my fault.
Mhm.
I started getting into the Shogun show on
Oh,
FX. Oof.
oh, how is
Um,
that? It's
woo!
on my list.
Oh my goodness.
Uh-oh.
I've got and yeah, and if you need to get your character straight, you know, because at first it's hard to keep all who is who and what line is
Yes.
this, but it becomes really clear and there's some really endearing characters. Yeah, so sometimes I just, you know, I work all day and I have my foot in this, my hand in this, and my head over here, my heart over there. And then by the end of the night, I really want to chill and like watch something. So I'll
Mm.
start watching a show at 11, which is so ridiculous. And then I'll find myself by 12:30, like, ugh. So
Oh, yeah.
it ruins the next morning. So
Ah.
my goals, I'm gonna chip away, is get to bed earlier so I can start earlier.
Mhm.
The rest of my routine I love, and here it is. I start with the Bible. I read the Bible because to me, there's nobody on this earth who is perfect. And even if you don't believe in God, he says he's perfect. I'd rather look at somebody who's perfect as an example.
Right, right.
And because, you know, so I start there and I try to face, you know, what I need to work on in my heart, not external. That could use some work too, but internal work. Try to face that. And I try to remember to have a gratitude practice because, you know, things don't go well in our lives. And sometimes if we really focus on that too much, you cannot see the great things around us.
Yes.
Even like waking up and both of my eyes work, both of my legs work. I'm breathing, my heart's beating. Like, have you ever just broken a little bone in like your baby finger or your toe? And it's just like, oh my gosh, your body doesn't function that well with this little, you know, minor adjustment. So it's really important because I have discovered that when I have a bad attitude, my creativity is extremely stifled. When I'm doing an audition, I can't think of this or that on my feet, man. But when I'm like coming from a place of gratitude and it has nothing to do with my circumstances, even if my circumstances
Mm.
thing, I'm just trying to be, you know, and I can be real. I'm not saying don't cry and mourn over it. I'm not saying like, oh my gosh, you know, so and so died. Oh well, I'm not saying that. You know,
Mhm.
you can cry and still be like, but thank you for giving me that person and work through your grief in a way that's still joyful, if that makes sense, or with
Yeah.
gratitude. Let's just say gratitude. All right.
Mhm.
So I start my day with that, and that really gives me the trajectory I need.
Yeah.
Then I practice French on Duolingo.
Wow.
I try to do French, like just Duolingo, like for a minute, you know, try to get in whatever my minimum requirement for the day. Unless if there's a friend's quest, if you know, you know, then I'll try to like double down on that. So I do my Bible, I do my French, and then I do like you know, hygiene, and I get out of here. I get out of the house and I work out.
Nice.
I love to work out. I love it, love it, love it.
Yes, yes. Oh, I can tell.
I do. Well, thank you.
I
Thank
can
you. I will
tell.
take that. I love
That's
it.
one thing I know about my sister. Just you can just look at you and can tell how vibrant you are and just how fit you look too. So yeah,
Well,
you're taking care of yourself, sis. So,
that's you know, that's gone up and down, but yeah, that's been my routine for years, actually. Even when I didn't maybe look as fit, I've gone through seasons of like, this isn't working, what am I doing wrong or whatever. But
mhm.
it's been my routine, and it's not for aesthetics, really. It's for my mind. The sweat and working does something for me mentally. We know that biologically it's sound, you know, the endorphins and things are going on, but I definitely sense that it does something for me. And I like to go to a gym, or I like to go to a gym. I don't, it's a little too hot for me. I'm not one of those people that likes to be all out in the sun in 99-degree weather.
Yeah.
And that's my morning, Ronald. That's my
Nice.
morning. Once I get those things done, then I'm ready to tackle the day. I just need to get it done earlier. That I need that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, the biggest thing, and me and my wife with our three little ones running around, how do you balance being a wife and a mother? Like, how do you balance those things and also do the things that you enjoy, you know?
Well, that's a million-dollar question right there. That is
Right,
that is
right.
some crazy. Now I could write another book about that.
I can imagine. And this is for my wife. We always need that encouragement, you know. But yeah, how do you balance that? And for all the mothers out there, how do you balance that life?
Well, now I'm speaking in hindsight because my guys are no longer little,
Yeah.
and that does happen quickly, but it does not feel like it when you're going through it. Ooh, it feels like every minute feels like an hour. And then when it's gone, you're like, whoa, where did that go? How did I do it? Well, there were different stages, but I think I maintained that reading the Bible in the morning, if I can, like before they get up, stay in my room as long if my room stays closed. Because like your wife, she's the only she's in man land, right? She's the only
Mhm.
female in the house. I'm the
Well,
same.
no, no, no. We have a
Oh,
daughter.
my bad,
Yeah,
my
we
bad.
have a daughter.
I take that back.
The youngest.
One
Yeah.
daughter.
One
Oh,
daughter. Yeah. So she's safe now. It used to be
she's
a
safe
time.
now. Okay. Well, and is your daughter the youngest?
Yep.
Okay.
She's
Well,
two. Yeah.
so I was Monique before your
Before.
baby came along. Okay, let's say that. So I had two boys. So my door stayed shut.
Mm.
I'm not talking about the baby years. Those I don't even know what I did then.
Mhm.
But I kind of maintained the same thing, and just brought the kids with me. I belong to the YMCA, and I to this day, no matter how it ebbs and flows, I love the YMCA. At least the one where I work out because they had a great family area, child care area.
Mm.
Um, Actually, it's funny. One of our fellow actors from Orlando, TV and screen actor Demian Castro, his mother and his mother-in-law were the ladies that used to take care of my kids when I went to the gym.
Wow. That's
And
awesome.
I mean, they're amazing. I think they just retired like a year or so ago.
Wow.
But so I knew them before I knew Demi, which is so funny, and his wife Liz. So it was Liz, his wife's mom, and his mom. So I was just blessed to have that a great like. I actually worked there. I worked in the childcare during my teaching years before I had children. So I knew it was a place I could trust. The woman that was in charge then, who hired me, is still there now.
Nice. Yeah.
She's young, she's cool, she's hip. She's young in her mind. She is still young, but what I'm saying, like she's a grandmother, but she's like cool. She's always hiking, she's fit, and just cares about the kids. So yeah, I did variances of the same routine. That's been my thing. I think since I moved from full-time teaching to being at home and doing these other career, like little side job career things. Um, that's been my routine. And a lot of it was a coping mechanism because motherhood's not easy. Marriage isn't easy. Being a wife, yeah, it was tough in those years because my husband worked all kinds of funky hours,
Mm.
and I was the only one home
Yeah.
during the pickup time. Not to throw my husband under the bus, because I'll bring him back later, because he once his shift changed, he really, yeah. But there were years, those elementary school years, where I was picking them up after school, and it was like, "Where's my homework? Oh, I left it at school." Like all of that. The
Yeah.
sore throats happen. The dinner hour, the giving them a bath, like when you're like, "Oh my gosh, I have no energy left," giving them a
Yeah.
bath. And I insisted on reading them their little Bible stories because I wanted them, like I want,
hmm
and then all the little things for school, the reading time, man, those there were chapters where,
Yeah.
yeah. A little later on, my husband did get a bit better hours, and that's when he was like, "I want my kids to wrestle."
Mm.
So he would come home from school, and I would have to have dinner ready around 5 or so. And I don't mean that in a sexist way. It's just that he wouldn't be home to cook it. I was the only one there to cook it. So if I was home, I would be cooking, and cooking that dinner and making sure it was done so that the kids could go to wrestling practice on a full stomach, or having had eaten. Is that the right? On a full stomach. Let's just say that they went. They got there on a full stomach, because those were interesting years. I missed the kids, because it was like I used to take them to the park and stuff after school. You know, we had sports and stuff, but it would end. But wrestling was a whole nother level. That was another life. Like, yeah, that was the sport, and that took the evening time from then on. And I think that went on through the teen years. After that, it was kind of a routine. One of us would drop the kids off at school in the mornings. Sometimes it was my husband for a couple of years, depending. Like, there was a time where his school, one of the kids' schools, was on my husband's route, so then he would take them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll see, Ronald, when they drive, that's a whole other thing. Yeah, so it comes in little chapters and stages, and then they leave the house. And that's where I'm at now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just you wait.
Just can't wait. Just enjoy. Wow. Yes, that's amazing. That was one question I was waiting to hear all about too, because I'm just like, yo, because I see all the amazing pictures and stuff of you all, and seeing all the great things. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing to see y'all doing the thing.
I feel like I could learn from you, because you guys are doing this whole health thing. And I'm healthy, but that's another level. I mean, you guys are making things from scratch. Like, you know, I make chicken and rice and vegetables, but you guys are making beef patties that are actually walnuts, and you're making the walnut mince, and then you're making the dough, and then you're pressing it with a little fork, and you're brushing it with whatever. I mean, with 3 kids that are not even elementary school age. So I don't know why you're asking me. I need to ask you. You're the one with the answers.
Hey, you've done it though. You've done it.
Not that. Jamaican walnut patties.
Hey, we try to make it exciting, you know.
That's exciting.
And I got to give hats off to my wife for that, and her Jamaican upbringing, because she's Jamaican. Yeah, see, that's where them patties come from, you know.
Ooh, buddy, I did not know that.
Yeah, I happen to love, you know, I'm American, African American, but my wife, you know, her background is Jamaican. She grew up here, but her parents are both from Jamaica, you know. And so yeah, so it's kind of like I don't got a taste of all of that, so I'm pretty much, you know, in there. But yeah, so it's amazing to see that, you know, things that I grew up doing and things that she grew up doing, and then we're pretty much bringing it together, and of course making it healthy, you know. So that's what's amazing.
I love that. And I know this isn't part of the interview, but what I love is that I hope that people realize that people of color, Black people, are not a monolith. Like, we are also diverse, and we come with different backgrounds and customs, and what we do and what we say, and, you know, maybe how we even discipline our kids, and approaches, and how we speak. And I think in our craft, in acting, we really need to understand that, because I think it affects casting, and then what we're seeing on the television. And then, as you know, when children are watching what they see on television, they want to be what they see on television. If they don't see certain people and certain things,
Love it. You're hitting it right on, because, you know, we've talked about, well, I kind of was telling you about this, but yeah, I'm working on a lot of projects. A lot of them deal with me and my wife, my wonderful queen. But the thing is, we're showing the difference, you know, me with my upbringing, her with hers, and that dynamic, you know. So that's exciting. It's you. I'm just like, you're hitting it right on, because that's going to show, and that was really huge for me to show that background and where we come from. You know what I'm saying? So wow, I'm excited. You got me more excited about this stuff. See how that works?
I'm really excited. Yeah, I do see how that works. That's amazing.
These interviews are not just for my listeners; they're for me too. You know,
they're for you too.
You know,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
So yeah, so that's exciting. No, we can talk about that all day.
Yes.
But tell me something. Tell me something. What is your biggest passion?
I was gonna jump on acting.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of my big passions, but even bigger than that is family.
Oh yeah, I love it.
My family, and they mean a lot to me. And but even bigger than that, My spirituality, like I like being close to God, and because I've stepped away
Mhm.
from my faith, and I've questioned my faith, and I've wrestled with it my whole life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very passionate about that. And it's not people listening, it's not a thing about being a Bible thumper. It's not being it's not being perfect. It's not being like overly moral and this isn't, you can't do this and you can't do that. And for me, it's like a relationship, like somebody who deeply knows me,
Mhm.
somebody who, like, if I weren't here, could speak about Sheryl better than Sheryl could speak about Sheryl. That is exquisite. Think
Yeah.
about that. Like
Oh yeah.
who knows you that deeply? We could say our moms and dads, but really, no,
Mhm.
because as
Mhm.
adults, I don't want my mom and dad to know
All right.
about my parts of myself. And not that any of that's shameful, but that's just like, I don't want my mom and dad to know what I do in the bedroom with my husband. Really? That's
Yeah,
not, I don't
that's a
mean
little
to,
different, right?
yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. So like I said,
Yeah,
that's a little different. Yeah,
yeah,
but truly, but to me, like God knows all of that. To
all of it.
me, if he created me, there's nothing shameful about that. He knows
Hmm.
everything. He knows
Yeah,
what I need. He knows things that I need that I don't even know that I need.
right.
So
Say he knitted you together, like the words say, in your
I think
mother's
so.
womb.
Yeah, I think so. And
Yes. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yes. No, that's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. I love it.
I don't think some people won't think it is, but it is what it is.
Hey, it is what it is. As
Yeah,
long as our creator loves it. And I know he does. So thank you. So that's all that matters to me.
yeah, yeah.
Right. So what would you say now, the reverse of that question? What would be your biggest pet peeve?
Um, I know what it is. How do I word this?
Uh-oh. So you gotta break it down and be nice about it, right? That's what you're trying to
Yeah,
do.
yeah, and even find the words for it because I guess it would be the antithesis of that, like people who lie and pretend they're someone they're not,
Yeah.
use use other people for their gain.
Mm.
And
Ah.
I'm not saying that I am perfect, but I don't think I've ever purposely set out to do that to
Mm.
anybody. But it's happened to me on more than
Mm.
one occasion. Um, and it makes me sick. It makes
Yeah.
me sick. It's happening. It happens in our industry. There's a lot of lying and cheating
Mm.
on purpose.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. Um, there are a lot of people who are very crafty. So the wounds they inflict upon people are mental. So there's nothing tangible that you can really prove that they're actually doing it. Um, Even just now, just talking about it's so dark to me. It's so dark to me. And just to share this like on a faith story, there was a time in my life where I kind of walked away from my faith and I walked into um groups of people operating this way.
Mm.
And it wasn't until God opened my eyes, let's say that I could see what was going on. So even though I was doing the wrong things at that time, I'm not saying I'm celebrating that or would do it again or like I'm thankful for that, but I was taught a deep, deep lesson and then a whole other layer of being able to see what was going on around me with people that I thought were close to me. And I'm speaking very code-esque, but could really see what was going on. And so not only could I see what was going on, but then I became a wiser person because of it. I learned
Hmm.
about myself. I started to, instead of trying to fix these people or to be like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with those people? And I'm this, no, 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 no. I took a good look at myself and I'm examining myself and figuring out why am I drawn to people like that?
Mhm.
Why did I allow myself to be taken advantage? Why did I? And I think this is really important. I'm hoping that I feel strong enough to speak about this because this happens in our industry on an industry level. Got to be
Mhm.
really be keep your eyes and ears open for this. Because there are people who are wonderful and they're wonderful to a lot of people, but they're really ugly to just some people. And I think that's a reflection of that person. You've got to be careful when you're going into an art form, especially like this, where there's so much scarcity. We're all vying for the same roles. We all want to get, but only a small group of people, only one person gets the role.
Right.
So what does that create? It creates people trying to do anything to get where they want to get.
Mhm.
Some people getting stepped on, some people getting lost in the shuffle. So many people should be and could be working, could have the roles that I have. It just so happened that I was in the right place at the right time. And I was prepared, I think. But there are times where I think the person might just like me more,
Mm.
or they might
Yeah.
like that other person more.
Yeah. Wow.
Can
You
I
seem
brag
like
or
you have a lot of stories to tell.
yeah, I do. And can I really brag or boast about that? Not really. I mean, I could
Yeah.
celebrate that I got to do that and use it for another stepping stone. But in my heart, I've got to know that I'm not really better than anybody else. Just keep, try to work hard and really do a really good job and be prepared. But this isn't about I got this role and it's because I'm better than so and so. No,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. I don't even know where I got that. I don't remember the question was what don't I like? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's people using other people and masquerading as truth when underneath it's a lie. That's
Mhm.
mm-mm, don't like
Would
that.
you just listening to you right now too, this question came to me. Have you ever considered directing?
Yeah, yeah, I have. Getting to that, I need to know. I I get so caught up in the art of things that I
Yeah.
don't focus on. This is a bad thing that Cheryl does. I don't focus on the vocabulary that I need to, like, and it's
It's
just
crucial.
simple, like just do that. But I am so
Yeah.
like I'm such a daydreamer and I love like, making everything as real or as poignant or whatever. And I forget that there are tangible things, there are, I guess, black and white aspects
Mhm.
to what we do. And it's just a matter of doing that, focusing on
Yeah.
that so that I'm equipped to
Mhm.
to tell everybody what they're supposed to do or to receive the information or figure out how to communicate them. I shouldn't say tell everybody what they need to do, but I guess let me rephrase that. To know what's mine to handle and what's not mine to handle. Where did that come from? Do you see
Yeah,
those
this
fireworks?
I see it as a thumbs up. I've never seen that one before. Gotta
Let me
think
make it
Zoom for
happen
that.
again.
That
I'm
was
looking
cool.
up here, but I started to see
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
They're
I think some
reacting to what you're saying.
yeah, right. I think some of the best directors are the ones that really focused on the story and how to communicate that with their actors and didn't try to do all the other
Oh yeah.
things. So that's what I'm trying to say. They were really good at delegating so that they could just focus on the story and elevating the
Yeah.
story. Um,
I love that. We always say, I mean, well, I always say, I don't know if everybody say this, but I can say it. But I think actors make the best directors because we understand each other. I started my career off as an actor and fell
yes,
in
you
love
did.
with directing. So it's kind of like I'm able to communicate what I would expect as an actor to my actors, and I think that's important. And just looking at who you are, I can see it. I can see you directing some amazing pieces. So I'm gonna
Right.
speak that over your life. Let's get that rolling soon. Okay. You got to
Oh,
write that film first though. Okay.
I know. I need,
We got a lot of work to do,
you do. Your
but you
students
got me. You
your
got me.
students are
So,
so blessed to have you, man. That's awesome.
oh, look at you. I'm blessed to have them. So, because they help me grow as well. But yeah, but no, that's something I do want to speak into your life. So we got to revisit that. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I'm here to
Yes.
help you with that. So,
Yes.
Let me see. I forgot my question because you know, I had that question came to me.
Yeah.
I got a good question. What
Yeah.
is your top 3 movies? Ooh, yeah, this
Hmm.
is always a good one for me.
I may have to circle back and as I start
Uh-oh.
the list, and then
Yeah.
things will change.
Well, you've been into your TV world. Do you know your top 3 TV shows at the moment?
Yeah,
You told me one,
those three.
possibly.
Uh,
Yeah.
well, I'm gonna list the movies that I guess I come back to or have like punched me in some kind of way. Why can't I think of the movie now? Hold on. Okay, so I for some reason I really love Shawshank Redemption. I love that.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Um, I've loved movies with Jamie Foxx in them.
Uh-huh.
Think he's so underrated. And so I revisited what's the one with him and Leo DiCaprio, and it's a Tarantino film.
Ooh. Oh, Jingo. Did I get it right?
Yes, Django Unchained. My son, my kids and I and my husband, we love to like pick something to watch. And which one? One of the kids was like, "Well, let's watch Django Unchained." I'm like, "Ah, I saw that already." But man, the second time I watched that, it
Hmm.
um really well done.
Hmm.
And I loved Jamie Foxx in Ray. I thought,
Oh, yes, Ray is a man, fave on that list of his roles. Yeah.
yeah,
He
I
deserved that Academy Award for that. I'm sorry.
I think so. I enjoyed the Joker. I'm really interested to
Oh,
see the
okay.
second one.
Hmm.
I thought the Joker's character was really, really interesting.
Yes, very interesting. Yeah, the
But
second one, I was like, I didn't even know they were considering this. That's yeah,
mhm,
that's gonna be very interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And the thing with Django, the story behind that too, Quentin Tarantino had part 2, I think he was working on, but one of his
mm,
friends found out about it. I read the story, don't quote me. But yeah, one of his close buddies found out about it and put the message out there before he wanted, so he canceled the project. So I
mm,
was just so
I
upset
think I
about
read
that.
that. I think I read that.
Yeah, I was
I
like, no, that I would have loved to see where he would have went with that next because that was
yeah.
just such a brilliant story all around, just everything about it. You know, it's just like
Oh, yeah.
crazy but brilliant.
I feel like it's such a standalone. I don't know if I want
Yeah,
anybody messing with it.
yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
That is true.
I have a couple others. I know you said three, but and they just escaped me out all of a sudden. I had them at the tip of my tongue. I enjoy watching Pride and Prejudice.
Mm,
What is it? Keira Knightley. I forget his name. The guy from Succession.
hmm. Hmm.
I just think it's a funny. It's just so funny. Um, and it was brilliantly done. Uh,
Gotcha. Yeah.
yeah, there are some really good movies out there, but so those okay, so those are just I've got
Yeah.
several others, but I just watched that movie. Why can't I remember names of things? The woman is married and lives in the French mountain somewhere, and their husband falls. Anatomy of a Fall.
Oh, okay. I don't
I
think I
don't know
see.
if it,
Yeah, I didn't see that one yet.
I don't know if it's a favorite. It was very well done, but it's
Yeah.
sticking with me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And this is had that one been out for a while, or is this the most recent one?
More recent.
More
More
recent. Okay.
recent.
Anatomy of Fall. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I have to check that one out. No, that's good. That's good. I'm loving it. I love it. I love
Yeah.
this list. So
Yeah.
good stuff. So yeah. So what would you say was your biggest challenge in life?
In life. Um, there's some that don't think I can speak. I'm not comfortable speaking of. But there's one. And it's a lesson I just learned. So when I was in high school, I'd moved here. I was really close with this girl. She and I were really good friends. It was grade 10.
Mm.
My GPA was insane, something like a 4.6. I was like
Ooh,
really nerdy and
ooh,
happy and
ooh,
like, yeah,
excuse
and
me.
this was even before, I think no, AP was there, but they didn't have anything beyond AP. So anyway, I was doing really good. And I don't say that to brag. I'm gonna make a point. Um, she was white and obviously I'm black. so we were friends a whole year. My mom took us to a U2 concert. We had sleepovers at each other's houses. And then between the summer of grade 10 and 11, I think it was, I would always go to Canada for the entire summer. And in Canada, school doesn't start till after Labor Day. So I would miss the first week of school in the States because in the States, they start in August.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, it wasn't like August 3rd like it is now. It was like August, like the end of August. So school had been in session for like a week. I missed the first week. I come back after Labor Day. I'm ready to hang out with my good friend, and she's ignoring me all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to figure out why. And she told me that she reluctantly told me that her dad didn't want us to hang out together anymore because of the color of my skin. He wasn't comfortable. He didn't like that. And it was just devastating.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't realize it at the time, but I completely changed that year, and my grades went down, my style changed. I was this like little preppy little nerd girl, and I started to like dress differently and tried really hard to fit in. I was still in these great classes, but I wasn't really performing very well. I don't think I was even listening. I don't think. I befriended some other girls and had this other group of a whole other group of kids, great people. And we were friends all through, that would be in the junior year and then into the senior year. And it was in the middle of the senior year that the same thing happened again. The dad didn't want us to be friends because of the color of my skin. But those friends defied the parents, and we stayed friends anyway. But at that time, everyone was driving. And so, you can get away with more when you're driving. You're probably a good guide, Ronald, but I was good. I was good. But I went places and went out and told my parents I was, somewhere else, and I did those kinds of things. So I'm guilty of those kinds of things. So the car though made it somebody driving other than parents made it so that we could still be friends. And then when I went away to college, I picked a school that nobody else was going to, and I kind of wanted to just start over again because that was very painful. I didn't have the words for it. I didn't have the vocabulary. I didn't have the emotional intelligence to really flesh it out. I remember graduation night, they threw a graduation party, and like almost the entire class went, like hundreds of kids, and I couldn't go, and I remember also the previous family. I remember the dad didn't want me to hang out with him, but like our football captain was Black. And I remember seeing the dad on the cover of a newspaper talking with that football captain. Like, so yeah, it was like, okay, so you're portraying anyway.
Yeah.
So it took me a while to process that. And maybe people will, disagree with me, but I processed this, and I realized that I held animosity towards the friends. I kind of blanketed everybody underneath this whole thing. And later on, one of the girls, she reached out to me in our adult years. With the advent of Facebook, we were able to reconnect, and she was so nice. And I think I had my guard up. I know I had my guard up, and she was like, "What? Why?" And I was thinking to myself, "Why are you even asking me why this and that?" Like we weren't. And then I came to realize that was her dad. That wasn't her.
Yeah.
It wasn't her. And the two girls that were my friends that wanted to be my friend, that says a lot about them. Like they were being taught to dislike me, but they went against that. That says a lot.
Yeah.
And I grew up with people who were not like that. Their parents were wonderful, but their kids were horrible. I'll just say that. And it taught me a lot about myself. And I was sad because one of the first girl that it happened, she passed away, left her and her kids. So her children, she left kids behind, and they were still they were still young, like 11, 12-ish. And it hit me. It hit me like, wow, Sheryl, you were loved. You thought you were discarded and this, that, and the other. Those people, like, that's a next level, to be honest. Because, like I said, if you're being taught to hate, that's deep. Like, a lot of people don't separate from what their parents teach them.
Right.
They
Oh,
try,
yeah.
you know, it's ingrained. So for them to really care about me and really like me, that taught me a lot. And
Mhm.
so I don't know. I try not to, I know I've talked about race and this, that, and the other. I think it's deepened in me is to take each and every person for face value. I try not to just lump everybody, you know, under, if you're this, then this means you think this way. No, each person has their own individual story. They come,
Yeah.
their own book, and give everybody a chance to show you who they really are. And don't base it on anything else than what they're giving to you. You know, I think sometimes we give people too much because we think, you know, and then we give people too little. And we shouldn't be doing that, at least in my world.
Yeah. I hear you. Wow. You
Yeah.
have some deep roots and deep history, my sister. I love it. I love it. Who would you say influenced you the most in your career?
In my career, I would have to say my dad. My dad passed away.
Mm.
Um, you met my dad, Sanctified Theft. You probably don't
Really? Back
remember.
in, wow, that's been
For the listeners, Ronald and I met doing a play
wow. Wow.
where thievery was sanctified.
Yes, yes,
um,
yes.
so my dad passed away in 2015. It was a shock.
Wow.
Like my family, my husband and my kids were driving down to South Florida where they lived, and we were going to stop by my parents for a night or two and then head on to the Keys. On the way to driving down to see my parents, my mom said my dad had fallen and it seemed like he'd had a stroke, but
Mhm.
so he died on our way to go see him. I never got to see him again.
Oh
Um,
man.
so, but my dad, without giving away too much personal stuff, was so much. I think this is true, holds true for many of us, right? We think we know our parents, and then as we get older and things happen, and maybe while they're alive, hopefully, but sometimes after they pass. In my family, I could say that there have been new dynamics unfolding, and I realized just what a man my dad was and always will be to me. Try not to get choked up.
Yeah.
Um, but um, my dad was a man of honor and truth,
Mm.
and he was extremely strict. Didn't always handle things the right way, but what I can respect, what I deeply respect about him is that whatever he taught us, whether it was right or wrong, and the only way I would say something was wrong is that, like, he was so extremely strict, they didn't give a chance to, like, it can inhibit your growth, let's just say that. But he didn't do it out of, he did it out of love.
Mm.
And
Mm.
he was the type of person that if he came up against something that would challenge him to think that he may have been wrong about something, he would think about it. He would think about it and he would adjust. And I know that sounds simple, but a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people
Mhm.
don't do that. It's hard to hear if you've been wrong about something. It's really hard. And most
Mhm.
people don't accept that. But in light of what I've been seeing in my own life and dynamics, I'm going to say that have been crept up to the surface since my dad's passing, I really hold that high. Um, he has been my strongest, and he knew nothing about acting. It's funny, I shared this on Facebook, and I'll end this question here. My dad was a more pragmatic practical, do a job that's going to make you money. And if you choose not to, he just kind of would kind of step back and say, well, so, you know, teaching, that's great. It's not going to make you money, but as long as it makes you happy. And then that's it. He didn't go on and on and on about it. But he was more pragmatic. And I think there was a time I wanted to be a visual artist. And he didn't discourage it, but he was just like, well, just make, you know, just if you're going to do that, you want to make sure that you can support yourself. And I don't mean to say, like, he wasn't discouraging me, but it was wise. It was wise counsel. I wasn't that strong of a visual artist anyway. So I think it was wise. I'm saying this though to make a point, and here's the point. When I did, I got a chance to be Calpurnia in To Kill a Mockingbird at Orlando Shakespeare Theater, and we put that up on stage in 2015. One of my favorite projects I've ever gotten to work on. My dad came up to see me, and I remember after the performance, he was wiping his tears. He wasn't like bawling, but he was like, and he wasn't a man, he was very, you know, he wasn't a guy that, you know, would just openly weep like that. And he wasn't like a gushy man. And he said to me, okay, gotta take a little breath. Sheryl, don't quit this acting thing. And that's not verbiage that he would use. That's not how my dad spoke. He didn't say, don't quit this acting thing. If you knew my dad, those were the last words he spoke to me before he passed. Those are the only words I face to face. After we spoke on the phone or whatever, but there have been many times I wanted to quit because this business is not fun sometimes. If you're not working and on set, all the other stuff to get there is not fun. It can be, but some of it's not. And I've wanted to quit. Shoot me. I'm sorry. I'm just going to be honest. Yeah. And when I remember what he said, I just can't. I can't. And I love it too much to quit anyway. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. But there, you know, when you're in the moment, sometimes you're just like, you know. Anyway, so he's my biggest, and it has nothing to do with him knowing the acting world. He knew nothing about it. He died before Zoom and all of this, you know, self-taping. He would be like, what is that? You know, he knew nothing about that. It's just his core, his being, what he stood for, and his truth. Like those were some very honest words that I feel like I have to heed. Oh, yeah. I must listen.
Oh, yeah. And don't you quit. No, no, no. I get it, though. I've been there so many times, as you know, I'm sure. So, yeah, we get there. We get to that point. But, yeah, we got to keep going. It's, you know, someone got to do it, right? Yeah. Someone got to do it.
Yeah.
So, yes. How did you get your first film opportunity? Tell us about that experience.
Full Sail.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. And I got a lead, which I don't think I've been a lead in a film since.
Okay.
I think I've currently, they're kind of coming full circle. I'm gonna do a Full Sail project. I haven't done one in years. And I think it's a lead or a large lead, a supporting lead, or a large supporting. But yeah, Full Sail. It was this little romance. It was called The Act of Romance. And you know what I love? I love when you connect with somebody and then you connect on Facebook. And I love when people keep the Facebook friendship long after. Like, so many people are like, oh, well, I'm just gonna unfriend or whatever, and I'm gonna, and that's fine. I'm sure there are valid reasons, but I love when I see these people from 15, 16 years ago pop up and, hey, how you doing? And seeing where they are at now and their words of encouragement to me. So it was called The Act of Romance. It was me and this other guy. And it was like this interracial relationship thing, which I was shocked about that would have been done. And it was two of us worked in a theater, and something like something like I was too arrogant to accept his, his affections for me or something like that. And in the end, he was too, in his own way, classic love story. And then we end up in the end kissing or whatever. And it was a sweet little film. I was not good in it, but I was so happy. I was happy for my first opportunity. I thought it was good at the time, though. I was like, I remember showing a clip to somebody, and then they were like, Sheryl, you can't put that. You can't.
Wow.
You can't send that. I was like, what? Like, yeah.
It's like, why you say that? That is funny, sis. Wow, what a great story.
Yeah.
You got the best stories. The best stories. So working with a lot of filmmakers too, and we can also talk about actors as well. What are some key elements that you think every filmmaker should have, when working with others?
Filmmakers. Well, we already touched on one, a director who understands actors and actor language. I've worked with a few. I mean, the team that I worked with you recently, I loved working with Lance on A Time for Every Purpose. He was an actor himself, you were, so I'm sure you were instrumental in packaging that team together. The way that he communicated to get what he needed was so good. His finesse, his drive, his intensity, but at the same time gentle and focused and clear. Another director, many directors, I've had a really lovely time on set with my on-screen stuff to have wonderful directors. And we are talking about on-screen, so I'll stay with that. Director of photography. Wow. That is telling a story in and of itself.
Yeah.
That is essential, right? I mean, you know so much more. I'm just, at the baby steps of understanding that, but I'm kind of paying attention when I'm watching stuff. If the lens is kind of moving, if are the shots tight? Are they wide? Are there a lot of back and forth? Or are they just kind of sitting in the moments? The color grading, colorist, is that what it's called? A colorist?
Colorist, yep.
Yep. That's essential. That's all the post stuff. Editing. That's gonna tell the story, right?
That's gonna tell the story a whole different way.
The casting. It starts there. That's in the filmmaking, the casting. I dip my toe in a filmmaker world just to get a sense of, like, remember I confessed to you that I never pay attention to some of the machinations of things, or the vocabulary, the things, the stuff that I think is boring, so I don't pay attention to it. So I made myself do a little documentary series during the coronavirus. It was just stories that meant something to me. They're really just interviews. But it was just kind of an introductory into what I need to be paying attention to for the next things that I do. Right. But even the casting that very, very important. I realized what a difference it makes when you put out to the world what you're looking for, and then you pick what you can get. And if you put out to the world the right things, you're going to get beautiful things. You're going to get beautiful people to be a part of your project. So that's something I'm going to remember for the next round.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I love it. I love it. Now, were there any times on set when things weren't going as smooth as you wish they would have? How did you handle those situations, if there were? Because we know when we get on set, whew, you never know what can happen, especially if the crew and the cast are not bonding like they should.
I feel like I've got a good body of work, but I have not been on set as much as my peers. I'll be honest. And that's okay. I'm not saying that from a covetous standpoint. My journey is completely different. I'm very thankful for where I'm at, where I'm going. So that being said, I haven't been on set as much as my peers. And out of, I think I have a high percentage of positive experiences. I don't think I've been personally affected by any stress or craziness happening on set. I know that some sets I've been on have been really disorganized and not run well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll see the stress manifesting off in the corner or between,
Mm-hmm.
certain members, but it's never trickled down to me.
Oh,
I don't
that's
know
a
if that's
good
a
set.
reflection of my oblivion or those people protecting. I could think of one stand-in experience that was horrific.
Mm.
I'm
Mm.
laughing about it now. I mean, just the distance to walk from where we were supposed to walk and to our meeting place in these treacherous heels and like 101-degree weather. I mean, it was just awful. And then, but that's an aside. That's not even important. I mean, I'm sure those things happen all the time. But our documents, our legal documents, like copies of our driver's licenses and socials and stuff, were misplaced and
Oof.
mishandled, and then nobody was taking responsibility for it.
Yeah.
That I was quite vocal with, because I
Wow.
don't play with that. You
Yeah.
didn't know. There was another time, I think at the end of a commercial set, where because I'm Canadian, I have to show, when you're getting paid, you have to show your passport. You have to show a certain amount of identification and documents. When you're in your native country, you can just show your driver's license. But because I'm born elsewhere, have to show my resident alien card, my passport, and sometimes my marriage license, like a bunch of things. But somebody was rude about
Mm.
mine once. They looked at my passport and they were like, I had the amount of things that I was supposed to show. I think it's like two. There's like,
Mm-hmm.
you column, and there were two. I had the two things, and they were not satisfied with the two things. And what they were kind of saying was like, are you sure you're legal? Like, I
Wow.
was
Wow.
like, I'm
Oh
gonna
man.
give you a chance to rephrase that question just to make sure I'm hearing what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And and then I did hear it right, because then the person backtracked. I just want to make sure you get paid. I just want to make sure you get paid.
Mm.
And I was like, okay. Those are the only two things that have stuck out in my mind, but nothing. I think what you were more getting to is like, have I been trying to do my work and I can't because the director's horrific or, rude. No, I haven't had that experience on screen work
That's
yet.
amazing.
I
Yeah.
have in the theater.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Theater world is totally different, as we know. A lot of people don't know what we go through back there. Whew.
See my face?
Right, right. But they only see the show on stage, though. They don't know the chaos that go on behind stage.
The
Yeah,
whole other show that's going on off stage sometimes.
yeah. That's a whole different episode, right?
Yeah.
But yes, no, thank you so much, sis,
Yeah.
for sharing that. Um, so tell us this too. We almost at the end of this. What advice can you give someone that either is interested in the entertainment industry or someone that's getting ready to graduate? What advice can you give them to start preparing, you know?
Well, I do teach. So my background is music education. I have a master's in that. And so I've been using it teaching privately. And a lot of my students are in that middle school, high school, and some of them are college, just graduated college. And a lot of them are like, yeah, I think I wanna do this.
Mhm.
My advice is always starting with this. Make sure this isn't about you wanting to be a star. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't about you, like booked it and I booked this and booked that. I mean, we do put our stuff out there because we're trying to sell ourselves, right? But there there's a way of doing it that is just to show everybody what you got, and you and being like, you wanting to be a star. I want to be known. I want to be this and that. And there's nothing wrong with it, I guess, but I don't know if that's, I don't, I personally, anybody can disagree with me. I don't think that that's enough to build a life of artistry on. I think if you're doing it because you love it and you love storytelling and you love becoming a character and making the character as real as possible and drawing things from yourself, and pouring that into this person, I think, you know, stories have the power to impact other people. And so as long as you're doing that for the right reasons, you know, and I'm not saying a moment to moment, you know, obviously if you just, you know, got nominated for some huge award and, you know,
Yeah.
of course, bask in that and celebrate. I'm not saying, you know, you can't celebrate or you can't put yourself out there. I do put myself out there. I feel like I need to. If I were selling shoes, I'd put those shoes out there. If I were selling you t-shirts, I'd put those t-shirts out there. I don't like putting myself out there. It feels cringy because it's myself. But I feel like I need to sell myself. I feel like I need for people to kind of see me a certain way, to consider me. And once I get to the point where I don't have to do that, I will not be doing that. You will see my Instagram will be like sunsets and bunnies because I really don't like it, to be honest. But the reason why I'm doing it is to propel a career. And sometimes I think we all look at people and have like a mindset. What does this person encapsulate? What are they? Is this a person that's a jock? Is this a person that's a jerk? You know, and then they'll cast that way. And you might have an agent or a rep who doesn't see you for who you are. And if that happens, then you need to get a new rep. But maybe casting has never seen you in a certain way though. And you can't change casting. You can't say, well, I'll just get another casting. I mean, you'll get another casting, but you won't get another casting director, you know? So, you know, if there have been times where I know that, a project's coming down the pipeline and I would be great for that. But I think this casting director's always seen me like this, you know, and they don't know that when you know, the makeup's not on or my hair's a little like not like that, you know, I'm dressed a certain way that I can, you know, that I could not that I could be that, but I actually am that, you know, or I'm just using that as an example. Where am I going with that? I'm just saying that at the heart of what you do, it needs to be because you love it, not for you to be known and to be a star. I think that's the starting place.
I love it.
That's the starting place. And then there are books from then on. And then the next thing, really important, I would say, is your journey is your own. And that's something I have to come back to. You know, there are people who book 20 projects in a row and you've had 0. You can look at that person and then feel badly about yourself, or you can focus on yourself. And I know that's not easy, and you do have to eat, and you need to, you know, you need to get a job and things like that to sustain yourself. I'm not talking about those things. I'm just talking about comparison and knowing that you are your own self and nobody else can be you, and that what other people are booking is not you. And what I'm saying, and when I say that, I don't mean to just sit back then and just wait. That might even mean maybe you need to get reps somewhere else. And maybe you are more fit for a different market instead of you just sitting there and comparing what that person is. Because our market is, you know, dictates certain types of work. Types of projects, which can sometimes mean certain types of looks and certain types of people. If you just sit here and compare yourself to a person who completely fits this market, when you've got amazing skills, but maybe you fit a different market where they're doing different types of projects. Maybe they're grungier, maybe they're tougher, maybe they honor older people, or they do cast young, whatever it is. That's what I'm saying.
Oh
It
yeah.
might
Oh yeah.
spur you. You might need to do other things. And then people, like I have a manager and people like, I don't need a manager. Well, that's great because you probably don't. But for me, it was vital.
Mhm.
And it changed my career, to change my opportunities. The other person might not need that or might not need that right now. And
Mhm.
that's totally fine. But I'm me and they're them.
Right.
And
Right.
it's really important that people get that from the get-go, I think.
Yes, no, that's the wow. Thank you, sis, for sharing that. That's amazing. How can our listeners check out more of your work?
You can follow me on Instagram if you want to. What is my Instagram handle? It is
Oh, what's
Sheryl.
your handle?
Well, the sad thing is I made an Instagram by accident that I can't get into. It's Sheryl.Carbonell. That's me.
Okay.
Um, and I lost my Instagram one, so I'm just coming back with this one.
Okay.
But my website houses a lot of my work, and also my teaching business. I'd love for you to check that out. That's SherylCarbonell.com. And if you want to see what my current credits are, or whatever, I'm on IMDb. I
Super
think that
awesome.
covers it. Yeah, I don't do
Yeah.
TikTok or anything. I'm not cool. I don't do Snapchat
Yeah.
or
I guess I'm not cool either.
That's too funny.
Right. Well, thank you so much, my great sister Cheryl. I just want to leave you with these final thoughts. One, keep doing what you're doing. You remember what your daddy told you. Okay. And let's do something. Let's get this writing off the ground. I can see that over your life, and I can see directing over your life as well. And you're already a brilliant actress, so we already know you can do that. So keep doing what you're doing. It's always a blessing for me to not only work with you and just to have that history with the theater show that we did together to now. It was such a blessing to work with you on that last major film project. I'm looking forward to working with you more. So keep up the great work. I can't wait to God open that door for us to work together again and with me in the directing chair. How about that, right?
Yes, I would love
Uh,
that.
right? That
And
would be
all of you
super
who are
amazing.
blessed to have Ronald as your teacher, your mentor, your work pal. I mean, I'm following you. I'm following you and everything that you're doing, your projects, your podcasts, and especially what you're doing in your home life. I think it's so
Yeah.
inspirational and so beautiful. So,
Oh,
yeah.
thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for everything. I'm so grateful. Any final thoughts you want to leave with our listeners?
No, just be thankful. Be
Yes.
yourself. And and yes, it is your journey, and your journey will make you be grateful, like I said, but it will also spur you to do things that you need to do. Don't have that fear of missing out or fear of doing, if you don't do something that the way other people are doing it, you're not going to get. No, 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 no. You have to do you. Very, very important, especially when it doesn't necessarily follow the masses. You've got to do it anyway. So,
Amen to that. I agree
mhm.
and second it. Thank you so
Yeah,
much again. And
yeah.
thank you all for tuning in once again. Stay tuned for more great podcast episodes. Be blessed, everyone.
Yep.